My name is Nick Mulvey, and I hate these things.
Come on.
My name is Nick Mulvey, and you're watching Toasted.
Nick, welcome to Amsterdam.
Hi, nice to be here.
It's not your first time, right? I saw you playing Paradiso in a small club here.
Yeah, I played upstairs at Paradiso just before the end of last year.
It was a beautiful gig, man.
Thank you. Cheers, I enjoyed it a lot.
It's amazing to see how you, and maybe this is something that has to do with the internet or going viral, I don't know, but you pull the crowd already and people know your songs. It must be weird for you, not even, well, your album's almost out, but back then there was no music out.
Yeah, I was really happily surprised by the people who turned up to the gig. I think I've done a few support slots in Amsterdam over the last year as well, with Rodrigo and Gabriella, and with Lianne Havas, and with maybe some others as well. Like, there's been a few, you know, so I think all these things kind of feed in. And I have a few friends here as well, so.
Okay, how come?
Just over the years, I mean, it's not uncommon for friends from the UK or Ireland to come to Dublin and be here. One friend is a student and another friend works over here, so.
Hey, talking about student, you were a student yourself, of course. You decided to study in Cuba?
I studied in Cuba, that's right. When I was a bit younger, actually, you know, still in my late teens. And I heard about this amazing school on the outskirts of Havana. And I went there and studied guitar and learned a lot, actually.
Guitar, because you are originally a percussionist, right?
Actually, originally a guitarist, but then I've played a lot of percussion as well. And, you know, I tried a lot of different things, really. You know, I like all kinds of music. And so that was a great experience in Cuba. It really gave me a lot of inspiration.
How long did you live there, actually?
It was about 4 months. Yeah, in total.
Must have been something. But was it heavy as well, or just fun, or?
It was like a lot to get used to because I was quite young as well. So it was a good experience. You know, I grew a lot, I think, as a person. But then I just was exposed to so much music, so I really absorbed a lot as a young person, and I was very open-minded and I had so much fun. You know, it was a lot of fun.
Are you fun-driven?
Yeah, of course, you have to be.
You think that's natural, and most people are not. I mean, most people are money-driven, or I don't know.
I think you got to be having fun. Like, if it's not fun, then you know, why are you doing it anyway?
Hey, what do they have in Cuba that they don't have here in Europe or anywhere else?
Well, the people are pretty special. The music is really, you know, everybody has access to music. To the, you know, the music is not so much put on a pedestal. It's very accessible. Everybody is musical, whether they regard themselves as a musician or not. And this is really significant thing. I think that's really special. Everybody can dance as well, you know. I mean, you know, yeah, everybody that I saw anyway.
I believe you.
Yeah.
And white people can dance. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't want to be saying cliches here, but you know.
I do that for you. Hey, your first album is almost due, right?
Yeah, it's finished and it's just now in the process of promoting it and setting it up, and it's coming out in May.
You didn't hasten yourself to produce this record and do it. You took your time, right?
I took my time. Yeah, I knew there was a lot I wanted to explore and learn about how the process I wanted to use and the sounds I wanted to get. And I had a journey to go through, definitely, to get to it. So, yeah, it took the actual recording process was very quick, but the preparation was not rushed.
Because I can imagine, because you were, of course, singer-songwriter, you could record this yourself as well, right?
But there's a lot more to my music. There's a lot more. So, you know, I've always been adventurous in the sounds and in the texture, and it's really occupies the space where songs meet more ambient, repetitive, textural music, and there's a middle space, and so I needed the expertise of a bigger studio.
I must imagine that it's also, I mean, you are a unique artist because, I mean, you are a multi-instrumentalist. You've been around, you played live a lot, you played with big bands, you played with small bands, you played big venues, small venues. being singer-songwriter must be tough to find your own space in there, because I mean it's easy for people to lump you in with, I don't know, Jack Johnson or Ben Howard. I mean, how do you find your own spot?
I don't really think about it, you know. I just work on focusing on what I need to do, and then my own spot comes naturally, you know. Yeah, I think when you look outwards and you look at other people, then you're competitive in that frame of mind, then you wonder, well, what spot can there be for me? And the only answer to that is to not look that way. And then you find that there is only one spot for you, and that's the only one you can have anyway. And so you work towards that, and thankfully I've always found that easy.
Do you listen to other singer-songwriters yourself?
Yeah, I love, well, lots of the greats, you know, from Paul Simon, Nick Drake, John Martin. I like Jose Gonzalez. I like Ben Howard as well. You know, lots of different guys, good songwriters.
Because I mean, for most people, singer-songwriter is a guy with a guitar they probably stumbled upon in the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, you name a lot of guys who've been doing this since the 60s.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've naturally drawn towards those guys, partly through my parents' music taste and my siblings' music taste, but also maybe history. Looking backwards gives you the best of the past, you know.
There's when I saw you live, there were a couple of songs that stuck to my head. Of course, "Cuckoo," which is an outstanding song, I think.
Thank you. Yeah.
What is it about?
Well, the song is essentially an adaptation of a poem by D.H. Lawrence. So it's, you know, it's a famous text, a poem I loved for, you know, a long time, and I always thought it would work as a song. And then when I came to set it to the music, I had a lot of other ideas, and I felt really strong about these ideas. So it's not a faithful rendition of the poem; it's an adaptation. And because he says in the song, in the poem, he says, you know, the boy who's underneath the piano, and the mother who smiles at him as she sings. And then I thought, wouldn't it be nice if now we could move into what she sings? So then I gave words or sounds to the mother, and those sounds are cuckoo, and she sings it to the baby.
Beautiful song, outstanding one. Another one that I thought was outstanding was, and excuse me if I pronounce it wrong, Jeramidam.
That's exactly the right pronunciation.
Thank you.
Although the Portuguese might pronounce it Juramidam, but that's the only thing.
Of course, I tried to delve into the lyrics. The only thing that I could find is maybe it has a religious background, or what is this about?
Yeah, I mean, the word is a central, untranslatable word within the texts of a religion from Brazil, and this is I say religion. It's kind of they call it shamanic Catholicism, perhaps, and it is something with sublime music. The music of these ceremonies is very special, and it's an influence on me. And I got very interested in this and explored it a lot. And then, you know, the songs always seem to come out of me. I can't say that there was a moment when I decided to write a song about it, but it seemed to come out of me. And then when I was looking for a title, I just thought maybe I'd take Jeramidam as the title for the song. And yeah.
Where did you pick up the music? In Brazil? Did you go there? Or?
Yeah, originally in Brazil. I was there traveling around with my guitar for a while, and I had a great time, and I had a lot of inspiration from Brazilian music.
Where did you go, actually? I mean, you just took off and decided to play and busk around, probably? Or?
Yep. Oh, well, I wasn't busking, you know, in that way, but I just was traveling musically. So I always followed my ears, made my decisions on where to go from what I wanted to hear. And that took me to the north of Brazil. Brazil is enormous. Yeah, exactly, to Bahia. Nice. And so I discovered that kind of, it's called Santo Daime, that music there. And then I met a community of Brazilian people in London and heard more of that. Wow. Yeah. So there's
What draws you to Latin America or Cuba or Brazil or South America? I mean, you have a lot of roots there, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, what draws you to the things you love? I mean, the answer is I love them. I think musically, actually, the interesting thing is musically, mostly the things I love in Latin America are the African elements. So it's really, a lot of the time, the root beneath my appetite for Latin America is actually for the African music. And this is another love of mine with West African music, Southern African, Central African music. I love the rhythm and the movement with the music. I love the way the music always moves. It's never static. And I love, there's so much to love about it,
You traveled a lot?
I have, yeah. I have. Perhaps by most standards. I mean, I've been traveling a lot as a musician for a while now. But before that, I did some good trips as a young musician, as a younger musician, and between those places, Brazil and Cuba and North Africa. Yeah, I got very into the Gnawa music and the traditional indigenous trance music from North Africa. Amazing, incredible music, very deep.
We're talking about techno. Of course, Nitrous, which is another song of you, flow so easily into You're Not Alone by Olive. Why did you do that?
Again, I was just following a feeling, really. I was writing the song Nitrous, and it very naturally grew into... I realised that it was the same chord sequence. It would work well with Olive's You're Not Alone. And I tried it, and it kind of gave me a buzz to use a strong... to place that reference in there in that way, it interested me, and at the same time, both lyrically and melodically, it balanced my verses. My verses have kind of very dense words, and this chorus was much longer, very simple sentiment, and I love the song.
I want to get back to Jeraminem once more. In Holland, we call it flageoletto. The harmonic sounds that you get out of your guitar. Yeah. I think it's an outstanding piece of guitar playing.
Thank you. I've had this feeling of as though I found, like, when I found that pattern, I felt like I'd found, like 100 pounds on the floor. This feeling of like stumbling across something, and
sounds like £1,000,000 actually.
Who knows? I mean, it's funny to put a price on it, but you don't know. At the beginning, I just thought whatever. And it's so simple. It's standard tuning, very ergonomic. Very falls underneath the fingers perfectly.
Because when you play it, it looks pretty impressive. Actually, it looks like it's difficult.
Maybe. I mean, I don't think it is. And I was surprised at how it seemed to be just sitting there ready for me to take it.
So, and this is how music comes to you, right? It grips you, it happens. It's not like you start, you grab a pen, you grab a piece of paper or your recording equipment. It comes to you, or how does that work?
Well, I find that if I start by thinking about it, I just create more thoughts. If I start by playing and I play, then I create more music. And so I discover at the end of it what I'm making, I always like one thing that Paul Simon said about how he was the first audience member, even as the artist, he's the first audience member, and that really resonated with me. I feel that way. So yeah, I think most people feel the same. There's a lot of preparation, a lot of craft. There is groundwork, and there is a time for being cerebral, but the ideas always come in that way.
Sweet. Hey, another thing that I recall from your gig that I saw, there was one song that I couldn't find on the list that I printed out, which will be on the album. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. The lyrics were about somewhat a knight or whatever going out to find a fair lady or whatever.
Oh, that would be
Moon King or
Lonely Moon.
Lonely Moon. There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
I thought that was a fantastic song. It's not on the album, right?
No, I mean, thank you. It's a song that actually was one of my oldest that I was still playing now. and it always has an impact live.
Yeah.
It's a song I love very much, but it just didn't fit with this new repertoire, with this new album, you know.
Did you release it before? Is it on an EP or?
No, I mean, it may be sometime, but it's funny when you have an old song, you know. It's hard to know how to.
It struck me as a sort of a minstrel song, you know. It's like a tale about.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why, like, I couldn't make it fit in this one. You know, I wrote it when I was quite a bit younger.
Sweet.
And I was always kind of aware of that. And also, when you're working with new stuff, you have your instinctive reaction to it, and that's what I use in the studio, just how my gut feeling. And when you're working with an older song, it's actually quite difficult to find the instinctive reaction to something you've been exposed to a lot. Yeah. So I found at this time it was better to let it go.
Shame, because it's a great song. But you will play it live, right?
Yeah, maybe.
You were also a percussionist. I think this comes through in your guitar playing as well.
Yeah, I think of myself sometimes as a percussionist, primarily percussionist with a guitar in my hands. Yeah. And that, not because I'm tapping the body or anything, but because I always think with movement in music.
A song on your new album is called Ailsa Craig. It's an island. Why would you write a song about it?
Because I was there once. I was there and...
Must have made some impact then.
It did, very much. But also, I sort of fell in love with a girl and I couldn't call the song her name. You know?
It didn't end that well, probably. Or?
Yeah, well, it was tricky. Let's just say that. It wasn't straightforward.
Complicated.
It was complicated. So there was a very beautiful uninhabited island off the coast of West Scotland, and I was there, and you see it as a silhouette. It's a very striking piece of geology, you know, and it also has a girl's name, so, you know, that's what I did.
Does she know that you wrote a song about her?
Yeah, I figure she does. Yeah, she does. Yeah.
Are you still in contact with her at all, or?
She's a friend. Yeah, she's a friend.
Well, so things ended well.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question.
I got the song from it, you know, so
that's good. Hey, another thing, Rivalia is a special song. There's I didn't even know there was a cello actually, but Hannah Marshall is on there. She's an experimental cello player.
That's right, yeah. Hannah Marshall was an amazing musician, London-based, improviser. And I was looking specifically for someone who could bring a lot of... I wanted kind of very atonal and rough textures. I wanted like horrible sounds. I wanted nasty sounds, you know, because my guitar playing is naturally melodic, and I want, you know, my instinct is to be melodic, and so I was looking for someone to balance that. And a producer in London said, "Oh, you got to meet Hannah," and instantly we connected. Cool. Then the way we worked in Rivalia, she does three things. The last thing she does is like a traditional cello sound right at the end of the song, but before that, she does two sounds which are they don't sound like cellos.
No, not at all. Yeah.
And I think they are super creative. I loved what she did on that track.
Hey, of course you're used to playing. You played yesterday in Rotterdam. Now you have a new album out. You will do some more touring. Isn't it tiresome for you?
Nah, not at all. I love it. I mean, you know, yeah, and you know, I'm a musician, and touring is playing music. You know. So I never forget that, you know.
How many songs did you write, actually?
I wrote a lot, actually. There's 12 on the record, but it was probably almost double that.
Because I asked this because back in, I would say, the 90s, during the CD era, artists would release 22 songs on one CD. And for some reason, I think 12 or 14 max is, I don't know, I wouldn't say better, but it's definitely easier to listen to.
It's interesting to think about how attention span relates to the formats and the mediums that we're used to. Yeah. You know, like composers back in the day used to lament the loss of the symphony form. you know, and they thought that it would all be, you know, and now we lament the loss of the album. I wonder what was like, what were the attention spans like before that even, you know, epic stories being told over days or something. Yeah. So it's hard to say if there's an instinctive human sort of attention span. I think it always relates very intimately with the formats that we use, you know.
Well, this sounds very much like a final format.
Yeah, it just felt right, you know. I think rather than thinking about duration, I was thinking about what I wanted to say, and when I was done saying it, that was when I stopped.
Are you happy with the result?
Really happy.
Because this is your first album, right?
Yeah, this is the first solo release, and oh yeah, I mean, I'm very proud of it. You know, I put everything of me in there.
How did you get a record deal?
I think I got a record deal by not thinking about getting a record deal.
Well, that's it. I never think about record deals, so I'll probably get one too.
You've probably got a few, haven't you? But the point is that what I did think about was, you know, deeply my writing and my studying closely my heroes and looking at, you know, the actual art and being in the music. And then naturally, you know, one thing leads to another. And I knew some people, you know, from my previous experience in the music industry, and you know, when the time was right, I could invite them to the gigs, and, you know, things built from there.
What will the artwork be like?
The artwork is likely to involve a system of patterns that I've developed, which literally represent the music visually.
Sweet.
Yeah, so I found a system of looking at the right hand, picking patterns, and transcribing them, and developing a system of codes, which I then developed the codes into patterns, and gave a visual representation of the music.
Did you do the artwork yourself?
I designed it and created the concept and designed the original patterns, and then I worked with designers to make them look good, because I don't really work in you know, graphically. You know, I don't have much experience in that, so yeah, I worked with designers in the UK.
Sweet. What holds in your future for you? Playing, more playing?
Yep, basically playing a lot this summer. I'm putting a band together right now in London. Yeah, so.
So you're not touring this album solo. You're getting a band together to create the sound that you have in the album.
That's it, exactly. Yeah, the sound on the album is more than just a voice and a guitar. So it makes sense that there's time to get that band together, you know. And that's something I haven't rushed, because I wanted to take my time establishing myself as a solo musician. But now the time is right to do that.
Wow. And what are you looking for other people in your band?
It's interesting, because you're kind of looking for your, you know, best friends, your you know, your companions. So, yeah. I mean, I let normally the music would decide the way, kind of thing. So, but pretty straightforward roles in some senses, bass and drums, keyboards. But I know what I want specifically from the kind of players. I know I want very intuitive players and instinctive musicians. You know when you know.
Well, they got to be good friends too, because if you tour together, you live together in such a small place, under stress with little sleep for so long, that, I mean, you got to love each other, right?
And you got to do something very special each gig, you know. Every night you do a very special thing, you know, with the music you're making. So, for sure. But that's, you know, that's how it is. That's going to be good.
Looking forward to see you again.
Nice to chat to you, man. Cool.